Hello and welcome to the InGeneral podcast, episode 87. Before we jump in, we have a 10% discount with Frome. Check out the links in the description. If you use discount code Jurassic Outpost, you get 10% off. And the website's currently pretty much half price on every item. They've got all 4 Jurassic movies except for Fallen Kingdom, so check that out. Links in the description. We also recently opened the Jurassic Outpost store. Head to jurassicoutpost.com/store. We've got Kirby merch, which is obviously the most important. We have a retro line that we've started, and we're also selling a lot of masks, so go get yours over there. Links in the description. Today, I am joined with Ryan and Alex. How you guys doing?
Hey!
Hey!
What's so funny about that?
It's just my stumble, man. I stumble. Trying to get through that, you know. Words are hard.
You always are so concerned about the intro, and again, I'm gonna point out you didn't unless you're rehearsing this before you call us. you just run through it, dude. You run through it pretty much perfectly. You run through it better than most people would their first go round. So
did you have that written down?
No.
Oh, I didn't even consider that, Alex. That's true. he's got a prompter.
No, but the day before I do spend, up to and including 10 hours in front of the mirror rehearsing. So if it didn't sound as good as it could have, that's my bad. I didn't spend enough mirror time. But
makes sense.
Yeah, welcome. There isn't some crazy amount of news today, but we have some cool Jurassic stuff to discuss. So we'll go through the news, but we also are then going to jump into the parks, the amusement parks, theme parks, which we have some cool news from. But I think before we jump into that, the only new article we currently have since we last recorded is that filming in Malta for Jurassic World Dominion is going to be scaled back after a surge in COVID-19 infections.
COVID, yes.
Cheeky little bit of COVID in Malta. So it even got to the point, so Malta were really happy that a big movie was filming there, Jurassic World, and they even made their own video welcoming them to Malta. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of sad, every industry right now needs, to be working and having money pumped into it. And this would have been great for that industry, but unfortunately they've had to scale it back. They're still filming there, but the most important thing was that Sam Neill, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Chris Pratt will no longer be traveling to the country to film. And I found it interesting to note that they didn't mention Laura Dern or Jeff Goldblum in saying that. They literally said those three.
Huh. Well, I would think it would be safe to say that it's not necessarily going to be OG cast always together in every scene with, and vice versa. I'm sure there's going to be some mix of the two thereof.
Maybe this was that. Maybe the scenes are them going to get Sam Neill. Maybe he's digging.
That's kind of my thing. They're getting the band back together.
Yeah.
Malta, the only reason why they're shooting in Malta is because Malcolm is finally at this fuck it point, and he's literally he's sunbathing on the beach in Malta in a black Speedo, and all black Speedo, and just not a care in the world. It's Malcolm, man, and they're like, we got to go get Malcolm, rolling their eyes, and there he is, and then it's it cuts to the Jimmy Buffett music, even though that wouldn't really make sense for Malta.
Yeah. I can't believe Jimmy Buffett was in freaking Jurassic World, man.
I love that Frank got him in there, man.
His pal, his friend.
Keep your friends close.
Yeah.
DJ Master Frank and his homie Jimmy Buffett.
I really want to go to a Margaritaville, man. We do not have them this side of the world.
Well, you went when he blah, 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 blah. 6 a.m. again, boys. You went with us when we were in Universal.
Yeah, and that was a lot of fun. A lot of food, a lot of drink. Yeah, I remember we got pretty tipsy there, actually.
I distinctly remember ordering just a fuck ton of nachos, a lot of nachos, and then being like, well, we've actually got to go see this. We've got to go see this movie really quick. This new Jurassic movie. They're going to show us some of it. Can you hold on nachos? We'll be right back.
I do remember us bolting out of there when it was we had gotten caught. There was 15 of us, and then we had realized we were talking and kind of just getting to know each other, and we were like, oh shit, we're all here to see this movie. And then we just kind of ran out, and I think we paid.
Hopefully somebody paid. I don't remember paying, but
it sounds like something Chris would have done. He's very responsible.
Very responsible with paying. Yeah. No, that was a hell of a lot of fun. But yeah, it's so this it's weird. They were going to film there with a lot of stuff, and now the announcement was that the first unit will no longer shoot in Malta to keep our presence on the ground to a minimum. So there's going to be, I think they said how many? There's roughly 200 crew members, and that's after this reduction in what they're going to be shooting there. So, which is about 50% reduction.
Yeah, I guess that sounds about right. Is that mostly local crew?
The crew will be made up of local professionals and some crew arriving from the UK. So there's definitely going to be some crew from the UK going, but it's not going to be... I mean, I'm going to imagine Colin won't be going now because second unit, he wouldn't necessarily be there for.
Who do you think takes the reins on that? Cinematographer? Production? Producer?
You know, I would even say at this point...
How does it work?
They're going to keep the cinematographer in the UK. Because you've got 14 days on both ends now, so that's why a lot of them aren't going. And it's just weird. I mean, we know that they shot that scene on... Was it the island near Egypt or in Egypt? And, you know, that was just like a local ground crew shooting. So I don't think... It's going to be interesting, this movie. Some of it's going to be made up of a lot of different teams that have put it together. And especially this, I think if they're not changing or rewriting what happens, it means that the actors in the UK that were supposed to be in Malta for the shoot, they'll either be green screened in, or they'll be shooting a lot of plates in Malta, or they will have like sets pre-built that kind of replicate the scene.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, I think people don't realize how many movies do this, and how many movies, like, the whole goddamn movie is fake, really.
Exactly.
You can't...
You see some breakdowns now, and you're just like, I can't believe that isn't real.
Yeah. And sometimes it's sad. Sometimes you're like, hey, just go to a real forest, yeah? And film in the real forest. But sometimes it makes sense. And in this case, they're doing all they can to still make this movie as best as they can during a global pandemic. So I think...
We've said it how many times now, virtual sets, I mean, are taking off in television. It's becoming a massive expanding industry. You know, using video game software to render your set live.
Mandalorian.
So who knows? Exactly.
1941. Like, especially when I saw the breakdown of 1941.
1941.
Is it 1941 or 1921?
Did you mean 1914?
1914.
1941 was that Spielberg movie that wasn't great. His comedy effort that failed.
I'm like, even though Alex is right, I'm like, that didn't happen in 1914. I'm like, yeah, I had to type it really quick. Okay, so I'm sorry, 1914, not World War II, the first one. What they were able to show with, just the backplating of that, like, I think there's a worry that there's going to be some sort of sacrifice made, but at the same time, this is almost like a crazy, you could argue beautiful, but like a crazy creative challenge that I would almost welcome because of what Alex just mentioned. Like, there's we have the technology now, and like when I keep thinking about the location shoots, and I think even Chris mentioned this, or you mentioned this, Jack. Had they, and if they are able to make it on location, like, think of it like a James Bond shoot where there's so many locales, but you can feel that, like, that real location vibe and setting.
Yeah.
But they're able to, like, they weren't able to do that 5 years ago, like replicate the sun and the shadowing, and like, you can literally type in a geographic location like Mandalorian, case in point, and have it look like this low sun level Arctic. When I found out that they were using that backplating, that blew my mind.
Yeah.
When I think it was Chris that sent me that video, and it blew my mind. I was like, that it looks real, and it reacts with how the camera work is being done. Everything is fascinating. And hey, the Jurassic franchise has always been the franchise that pioneered something within visual effects. So I think it makes sense. I mean, I'm obviously a little bit worried, and you can tell when something is green screen. So, but I think at this point they've got the best of the best on this. Universal are spending a lot of money to make sure this film is as good as the best, and it's gonna be good. I don't think people need to be as worried as they are. I think the worrying aspect is, okay, so if they're gonna have to start blending backgrounds and doing a lot more VFX work, it's like, okay, do they have enough time though to get this done in time for the release date? That's the worry, because VFX isn't something you can rush, and if they're not doing half of this stuff now on set, the VFX time is going to be a lot longer. But again, I think they know that. They've already spent more money because of the Malta thing. I mean, there was that report in the UK, they've rented like a whole hotel out for crew. I think they're doing what they can. What else did the article say? So there was apparently 4 crew members that got it in Malta, tested positive. They're all fine. They're self-isolating and they're probably okay now. And then a Universal Pictures spokesperson also confirmed the report in the New York Times from last week that stated that 4 crew members in the UK have tested positive for the virus. None have become seriously ill, so they're all okay. And it didn't spread. I think that's the key thing, is it hasn't spread throughout the rest of the cast or crew. They are able to maintain this, it seems, so far. So it seems to be going well, but it is a shame that we won't get, even just a behind-the-scenes picture of Sam Neill in Malta, because that would have been cool.
I want to see him in the desert again. I want Sam Neill in the sand.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
It would almost look a little. Well, I mean, it's not like it's one or the other, but it's like you've only seen him in a desert or on an island. So to see him almost like in this like kind of tropical, not tropical location, but Mediterranean location, would be a little bit of like a question mark, but at the same time kind of exciting to think about, like, what the hell is Grant doing there?
Definitely.
But yeah, I think it's gonna be fine. It'll be fine, guys. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Apparently that number that when they announced that they were resuming production, it was $5 million they'd spent on safety precautions, and then we learned about all the ins and outs of what it would be and all these different like hand washing stations and stuff. That figure has now jumped to 9 million, which was what I was saying about the hotel and things like that. I think Universal are just prepared to spend the money to make sure this happens and to make sure it stays as safe as it can, because there's other film studios, there's other people now looking at this as an example. Like, are they going to pull it off? Is it going to work? Can they do it? How much money is it going to cost? And if it goes well, Universal will be praised. If the worst happens, Universal will be, this won't go well, and Dominion will always have a bad reputation. And I think it's now entered, regardless of what your thoughts are on the pandemic and on COVID, the movie industry's changed, and going to the cinemas different now. Across America, I'm pretty sure cinemas are still not open. They are here because
as of today,
I think virus, but
they are.
It is. I went for the very first time, not yesterday, the day before, in fact, to see Jurassic Park at the 4DX. I could not turn down the opportunity.
Yeah, man, getting blasted in the face. How was that?
Yeah, I mean, that's... you know what? I mean, I'm still not sold on the whole 4DX thing. It's only the second film I've seen like that, but it works so well for some scenes, and it's not what I expected, but it was the helicopter sequences that were the best, because you're swaying to and fro, going up and down and bouncing around, and you get blasted in the face with air. It just really made it feel authentic.
Oh wait, Jack wasn't. So, wait, this was 4D experience?
No. Alex just went to one of those, adult theaters, and
oh my god,
adult theaters.
Because I'm like, I don't know what you guys have over there, but a 4D, I'm like, not only did Alex go, fuck it, I'm going to the movie theater, but I'm going into a 4D experience where they're going to be literally blasting my face with air, with recirculated air.
They space you out, and there wasn't really that many people there. It's not too bad, and it's not like I had to go far. I live literally next door to a movie theater, so it's not the end of the world.
It's ideal.
Yeah, it is ideal. If it was any further, it's not something I would risk. But a lot of places are putting in the measures to make these things as safe as they possibly can be, so we can have some semblance of a normal life.
Yeah, how was that? I mean, Tom Cruise is obviously doing it now, so hey, why can't we all jump into a movie theater? But did they have? Because I saw that he was in. I believe was he in the UK when he went to see Tenet?
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, there's a video of him like he's promoting it, going to see Tenet, but it looked like he was in London, but I could have been wrong. And
I didn't see that.
I think they've been shooting Mission Impossible, so perhaps they're shooting it here. Maybe.
Is this the one where he's going into space?
Probably.
Because that's his next thing, right? That he's going to actually be in space.
Is Elon Musk in this?
Or
is he the villain?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, he would be a great villain, man. Like he's like, I need to go find the billionaire Elon Musk on the moon.
Yeah, they just paint him as this evil person, Elon Musk.
Oh.
Anyway, we were talking about Alex getting blasted in the face.
But yeah, just to sum it up, if you can eventually, when you feel comfortable enough, if you can see JP presented like that, I would say it's a cool new way to view it. I feel like every year I see it in a different way. Last year I saw it with David Kep. The year before I saw it with a live orchestra. You know, there's so many different ways to see Jurassic Park these days. You know, a film that's 27 years old now.
Yeah, so, and that's the thing, isn't it? Like, we all saw it when it came out in 3D, and we were like, meh. Wait, it did come out. Yeah, of course it did. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was meh. But
yeah.
Yeah, well, it was 2011 when they released it for the first time. That was when they only released it in the UK, back in theaters in the UK in 2011.
Yeah,
that was when the
Blu-ray
Blu-ray
release,
came out. Yeah, and that was the first time I watched it in that format. And because they remastered everything, there was sounds that I had never heard in that movie before. You know, like voices and sounds of it. And I was like, this is incredible. And then the image was fantastic as well. And that reinforced how well this movie holds up. Yeah, you know what? I'd kill to see that movie in black and white. Like, projected in black and white.
Ooh.
That would be cool. There are some like production stills taken in black and white, and they always look really, really nice and really crisp.
Yeah,
so I think you're right.
It's like Logan, right? Logan and Logan Noir. They released Logan in black and white, and it's a better movie. Like it just suits the kind of movie.
If they could do it, I would almost want to see it in kind of an old-fashioned way. But if there's especially with like UHD technology now, like if there was a way to really pull some like of the contrast of the blacks to where, especially when you're in the jungle scenes. And you saw that in like a crisp 4K black and white. I feel like that could be like a cool modern but like old take on it. Because with TVs now, like not necessarily TV, I'm sorry, just like with film and cinema and like how much crisper are we going to get beyond 8K? What are we currently at? So
yeah, 8K.
And
8K, yeah.
So like what you're saying, Jack, about like even with cinemas changing, I feel like this is also a time where there's an opportunity to like find new ways to explore entertainment beyond just, you know, what you're like for at home experience, right? And I feel like a good UHD but something super dynamic black and white would be bad.
Yeah, it would
I would really want to see Fallen Kingdom actually in black and white.
Yeah, with because it's so gothic, like those scenes where the Indominus raptor, Indoraptor,
yeah,
that's the one, where that breaks out, and you know it's
the tricyclopods.
It's oh, Kirby always comes back to Kirby. But yeah, it's like gothic, isn't it? It's almost film noir-y. It's nice. I think Jurassic and Lost World would suit that really well. Like Ryan said, if you push the contrast and really, really boost the highlights and really crush the blacks, like that would look so, and it would just be an experience. I'd like to see it. Might not work well, but I think it would work tremendously well. I think the VFX would look even better as well, like the aged VFX.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd take that. Good idea. Good idea, Universal. Do it.
I invented it.
So there is apparently, I was speaking to somebody the other day, there is apparently a cut of the Lost World that's floating around. Not accessible to us, as in like a 35mm print. And it apparently is a work print and includes a lot of the extended and deleted scenes.
I want it.
Dude, I know. It's killing me.
I feel like we only have those scenes in like a really crappy DVD quality still.
But not even them. I mean, it's the scene with Roland and RJ, and it's the scene with in the boardroom, but it's also got all the stuff. So it's a work print, so it's an unfinished movie, but it has all of the like. I think apparently it includes the T-Rex heads attacking the hide.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember what else. A couple of other extended scenes, but we know this. If you go on the Jurassic Outpost film page, I mean, there's a series of deleted scenes there, and that's scenes. Like, I didn't even include like extended bits. There's like obviously extensions everywhere, and no doubt they were all cut for the benefit of the movie. But like, just seeing an extended The Lost World, you know, where they go into where Nick and Sarah go in and let more dinosaurs out and cut the tires on all the vehicles.
Slashing the fuel lines.
Yeah. You know, I just want to see all that, and seeing it on like a 35mm print as well would just be, it would add that retro aspect to it. I wish that was something Universal were interested in doing. I know for a fact they're not. We kind of spoke to them about it.
Because you keep harassing them for it.
Yeah, I harass them daily. I send an email in bold red font, all caps, and they've stopped replying. But no, I know that they just believe there's no interest in an extended cut. And obviously it goes deeper than that. Like, I'm sure Spielberg, he's just not thinking about doing that kind of thing. But I think an extended play, or even just a new Blu-ray release that had extended scenes, just even in the bonus features, not even cut into the movie, I'd take that, man.
The Lost World, the Spielberg cut.
Yeah,
he is the sort of filmmaker that you know, shoots his vision very exactly. So I mean, there isn't a hell of a lot of extra material. I mean, there's more with the Lost World, and people have always said, you know, all these extra scenes were shot for television. I never quite understood that. Why they would want to run a longer version of the film on TV.
No, that's weird. But it is interesting how they left those scenes in for TV. Those two scenes that we know, they were very close to remaining in the movie. I think they should have as well. Both scenes should have stayed, but then the movie is, you know, it's a good like length now.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
But apparently, there is the I think the shooting script for The Lost World includes a scene with Dieter and a Pachycephalosaurus, I think.
He even had a different introduction in the script. I think he's like welding something, and someone approaches him about coming on this expedition. Whereas, you know, in the movie, we're just kind of thrown straight into like, here he is. Yeah.
Oh man, imagine if they that's the thing. We don't know what they filmed, but we know they filmed a hell of a lot more. And quite some quite substantial stuff. And I was listening to the Stan Winston Jurassic Party thing the other day that they did when Jurassic World came out. It's like a live stream where they got all the people that made all the animatronics back. And they said for The Lost World, they did we know they did the scenes where the T-Rex was coming through the window in San Diego. You know, came through the kid's bedroom. But they said it wasn't working. That's why it wasn't in the movie. It didn't really work. The curtains kept getting stuck on its face, and they did it a few times. And I think the San Diego stuff, because it was, you know, a bit of a rewrite, last-minute thing, I think they just decided to not have that, which was interesting, because a lot of people think they just cut that scene, you know. But
that's the thing. You have to remember, sometimes you edit things together, and it just doesn't work. Like, there's just not a way. It doesn't feel right. The pacing's off. You know, there's creative decisions and all this.
But I think, so in terms of extended cuts, if anybody knows anything about this Lost World work print, get in touch, because there is a lot of money waiting. And by a lot of money, I mean not that much money. But we will pay. I'll pay money to see this. But seriously, if anybody knows anything, let us know, because I think at this point, 27 years past the original, and how many years past Lost World? We should know this.
23.
23. Boom.
23.
And it was released on May 23rd as well, is that right?
May 23rd, yep.
Yeah.
That's my password. No, wait. So exciting times, I think. If anybody knows anything, I'd like to know that. And obviously, I think while we're at it, original scripts too. We have a fair few on our website now. And actually, if you go to davidkep.com, he's released his original Jurassic draft and then the final Jurassic draft and the Lost World script. So those are on David Kep's official website, which is pretty cool.
I feel like we could get a crowdfunder, you know, a Patreon, something at least. Not a Patreon.
Indiegogo.
But, you know, with today's technology, it's like, if you want to get something done, you're going to have to just do it yourself. And I'll bet we could get some techno wizards to just pull together the Lost World in a really cool format that the studio just isn't willing to do. And then we sell that shit.
Sell it.
Yeah. And then you're going to sell it. Sell it. Well, guess what?
Well, the black and white things, you really got me. I'm really thinking about that now. I think I might have a little play later and try and do a couple of scenes in black and white. Like Dieter.
Do as a trailer.
Dieter getting attacked by the compies, man, in black and white would be cool.
That is to this day the scariest scene in the entire franchise for me. Like that is just a work of art in, you know,
it is, isn't it?
Terrifying the shit out of you because you know exactly what's happening and yet
it's just
would you say you don't get scenes like that anymore?
No, you don't. The terror, like when he falls and then the shot's like racing towards him, the crane shot that's above him and zooms in as the compies like jump him. I think it's just such a perfect combination of animatronics, VFX, and fantastic performances. Like
Spielberg knows how to shoot animatronics to make them. Just even watching JP again, you know, it's such close shots, and you know, it's very the way they're intercut with the CG. He knows how to shoot them to make them look incredibly real.
Yeah.
Like if you shoot a big wide of an animatronic doing stuff, you're going to look and go, "That's a robot." You know, I can tell it's not a real thing. But he had a real flair for, and it's the same. You see pictures and rehearsals of Dieter's costume with the compy puppets, and you're like, "Well, that just looks terrible." But because of the way it's shot, it looks amazing.
Yeah, no, this is true actually. Yeah, the Stan Winston footage of it happening, you're like, well, they're all just motionless on him and they're like wagging their tails. But it's the way it's close to him and then it's quickly, and like the one that bites his lip and then the one he grabs the neck of, and it's brilliant. Mm-hmm. It's so good.
Would Alex, that's good. That brings up a good point. Would you say that that's like your scariest moment of the Jurassic?
Yeah. There's no way around it. Yeah, I can't think of anything that scares me more than that scene.
What about you, Jack? Like, what would you say is your like? What scene out of the franchise like made you the jump
well,
the most?
when you talk about the horror that's in Jurassic, I always think of the scene with Laura Dern in the bunker. But just because the way the scene escalates, and then after that happens, you then have Muldoon getting mauled by a raptor, and the hunting pattern thing all comes to life. And I don't know, I think that sequence of scenes is brilliant. But also, when I was a kid, the Dilophosaurus used to terrify me. I used to have to, when I was really young, I used to fast forward past that scene. I think it's just because of the dark jungle. And, yeah.
When he says young, he means like yesterday.
I just see little Jack like pressing the fast forward button really fast. Like no.
Yeah. I don't know why it got me so bad. Maybe funny. I think I agree with Alex. Like the scene in Lost World, but also the raptors in the long grass is terrifying.
That's a good scene.
And also how close they come to the raptors in the village.
Yeah.
I think
the village sequence is great. I would have loved more of that, definitely. But
man, they built more as well. They built the sets. They had the extended sets. They had the helipad at the end, and then boom, let's take it to San Diego. It's a real shame. Real shame.
I agree. I have to say the raptor sequence for sure is in the original Jurassic. The Laura Dern, Mr. Hammond, I think we're back in business.
Yeah.
I never realised before, because I think once you've seen the movie, you know it too well. You can never think back to that first time watching it. But how expertly set up that is, you know, it's not Ellie you think is in danger. It's the kids and Grant. They're on the fence. You just heard the T-Rex roar. You know, the buzzer's going off. You're worried about them. You're not worried about Ellie.
Right.
It's like
she's safe in a bunker. Yeah.
I sometimes really wish I could like erase, you know, the film from my memory and watch it for the first time all over again, because I cannot for the life of me imagine what that experience would be like.
Dude, totally, man. Especially because we were all really young when we saw it. Like I was a child, so you know, I don't remember that first time seeing it. It's like different. First time you saw like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an impactful movie that I saw recently. Well, the first time I saw like Prisoners or something, you know?
Titanic.
Yeah, that was sad.
James Cameron, come on, guys.
Yeah, hey, James Cameron almost did Jurassic. That would have been interesting. I mean, it probably would have been like...
That would have been a big film. I think it would be good. It would be very different.
Yeah, I think it just would have been like Alien. I would have loved it, I think. But I'm obviously glad we got the Spielberg. Spielberg balances, but yeah, it's a masterclass, that scene, the Ellie scene. It just, the way it comes together. And you're right. You think Grant and the kids are the ones that are in danger, and the tension's building for ages. Like, it just keeps building when the T-Rex, when it starts from the T-Rex roar, and then they're trying to get over the fence, and then Ellie's trying to find her way through the bunker, and then that whole build-up, and then it's like, boom, we got the power back, and then it smashes in. Like,
and props to John Williams through all of that.
That's one of the few pieces of score that was actually partially cut from the film. If you listen to the full extended soundtracks, that whole scene where Grant does his dad joke with the fence, that had score under it that was very sinister, and I have to agree, it works so much better without it. It's better silence, and then the score coming back in right after the Rex roar. It's really interesting to see the relationship between Spielberg and John Williams in play, where Spielberg knows not to use music.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. No, that score, that whole scene. Yeah, exactly, man. It builds up the suspense in so many different areas, and then right when you think, "Oh, we've resolved it," no, you did not, and
far from it.
Oh my god! And then it just goes into the kitchens. Oh my god, JP for life. I need
and then
tattoo.
The kitchen scene. Yeah, dude. Yeah, seriously, that whole series of events it's so directly inspired from horror as well. It's such a perfect horror, and like when Ellie's jumps over the camera and she's walking with she's running with the limp from the raptor in the bunker, and then the raptor's legs come down and touch in front of the camera and start walking forward. It's just scary.
Like, when I was a kid, I used to always think that I never assumed that she had a hurt ankle because of the whole pushing the guard fence or the fence against the raptor when the raptor kicked. Because that's where she so she sprains her ankle, right? Or injures her ankle in that scene because the raptor's about to kick down the fence. Yeah, through the fence. But she pushes her feet against it. But you can assume the raptor force with that. And so after that she's limping. And so, but as a kid, I never associated that. Because she had the flashlight attached to her ankle, attached to the rubber string or rope or whatever it is. I thought the flashlight was too heavy for her, and so she had this funny limp / gait, she's dragging the flashlight, trying. But then later, I was like, oh, her ankle is probably sprained.
It's funny the things you sort of come up with in your head when you watch this, little explanations you kind of make for yourself. People have always asked when Ellie leaves the bunker, she's still got her pink shirt on. And then when she meets up with Grant, it's then gone. And people are like, oh, what happened to that shirt? Why is she stripping off in the middle of the jungle? Man? What's going on?
Too hot.
It's too hot. In my mind, I always thought maybe there was a cut scene where she found Muldoon and covered him with it or something like that, because no one ever mentions him again after that, and they're quite happy to leave without him. So
this is true. Yeah, they just assume. True. They just assume the guy who knows the raptors the most is dead because of the raptors. They just kind of go. Speaking of black and white, though, as we were before, there's new concept art that's come out for Fallen Kingdom by who is the artist, Ryan?
Oh, you're gonna make me pronounce his name.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Well, his name is Julian.
Damn it.
His last name might be Gautier. I'm so sorry if it's not
Julian
one of those. Julian G. Tweeted some concept art from Fallen Kingdom. It says also worked with ILM and Timothy Rodriguez, or Timo Rodriguez.
But he is a senior concept artist at ILM.
Yeah. And he points out most of these didn't make it into the movie, but they were very fun to do. And they're all black and white, but they're brilliantly painted concepts. And a lot of which, didn't even get fully realized into the movie at all. And some of it, kind of preludes into some almost different storyline, the Indoraptor running through a desert, what I presume is California. Like, and it seems like tracking blue.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the ArtStation link right now.
We will have a link down below.
Yeah. And that is that's linked in the original tweet, right?
Yeah. The ArtStation has all of them, and there's some black and white, but there's also some color.
Yeah. So if we look at them, I'm looking at that first image, the black and white one, and we have on the left what looks like either a bus or the monorail or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
T-Rex
and a guy running, and it looks like Last of Us. And then you have the Indoraptor, or is that blue?
That's Indo.
It's too big to be blue, yeah.
Yeah, it's Indo in Maisie's room.
Yeah, so that concept came through. The next one is
Mosasaurus.
Attacking
in the
a ship.
Arctic, but most noticeably in the Arctic, what looks like a ship that's been stuck in the ice.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that is. Yeah, it's ice. Interesting. And
so
then the next one
can survive very cold climates.
The next one is a T-Rex hunting a bear, which is.
Is that what that is? It's a bear, yeah.
Yeah, I really like this one. This is Dominion. This is Dominion all over.
It's such a cool classic shot nod from JP, like the headlights into the T-Rex. Like that's the T-Rex roaring when it comes out of the cage.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it totally is.
That's so much better than it roaring at a lion in a zoo.
Yeah.
I like nighttime.
Shut up!
And you notice the next bear, not to skip the blue, because we've seen the blue, and that one did make it into the film, Blue and Owen. But
I think it looks better here though.
It does look cool in the black and white
JP.
again. Why Fallen Kingdom could look so amazing. But look at this Lost World shot, Jack, with the bear.
Seriously, man.
That's what's his face about to shoot?
Roland.
Yeah, Roland about to shoot down the bull.
Yeah.
But there's a bear now.
I just love that. I think that would have been such a better ending for Fallen Kingdom if we got to see these dinosaurs in real world locations, but not just like arriving in Las Vegas or arriving in a town, the ET town, or roaring at a lion in a zoo. Maybe if they just all of a sudden because they wouldn't necessarily have gone to these busy areas, right? I don't know animal behavior like that, but they would have gone away from stuff, especially after all the noise at Lockwood Manor.
Yeah. Even if it was like a cool quick montage of just all of these shots, like the one in the top left, I think that one almost to me looks like that could be on Nublar. Like that's a monorail ride.
Yeah, is it?
I think
monorail?
it is.
I think
there's another piece of art lower down that kind of shows the guy running up the monorail. I think like it's collapsed onto the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you go midway down, there's a color one that shows him heading towards it.
So
that would have been a cool sequence.
Yeah, that would have been cool to see. Like, cause I presume that's Owen.
No, that's the guy at the beginning of the film. It's the prologue.
Oh.
So it is. So this is all artwork from that opening scene, which is already incredible. Like I actually really like that opening scene, but some of this artwork.
I think I would have liked this instead of the rope ladder to have kind of a bit more, using what's left of the park sort of thing. I think that would have been really cool to see actually. Not that I had any problem with what we got.
Yeah.
I think there's a shot of him jumping from the gift shop roof as well, or somewhere. Yeah,
I can see that. It's really cool. That's great. That is really cool. But so the black and white ones, it's just so nice to see. And then you've got more of Maisie and things like that. The next series of black and white ones are more stuff at the park, right? So we've got the Parasaurolophus in like an arena.
Yeah, that's the auction, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, look at them. Yeah.
I know what you mean. It looks kind of like a big top, but yeah.
Yeah, I think these are all of our our auctioneers, buyers, and but then we're getting into some stuff where it's like that's not the Indoraptor's final look, but I'm assuming that's what because it's huge on top of a car, but it looks like it's going through a tunnel down a highway. Like there was obviously some idea that took place outside of Lockwood's Manor that I think would have been kind of interesting to see, but the movie was already, I guess, at a point where it should have ended. So the
concept, the one bottom left down there, the T-Rex in the with the dead giraffe and the rhino.
I think that looks like it's painted over the still from JP of the Gallimimus, exactly. But it's such a cool callback.
Exactly. Yeah. Look how much blood. That'd be cool if like a little kid, just like Timmy, was like, "Whoa!" Like said the same thing. I would have thought like, okay, that was fan service, but at the same time, I would have loved it. Like just to see a kid be like, instead of everybody's running away, but this one kid just like, look how much blood.
Or if it's Joseph Maslow and he's grown up and he just happened to be at the zoo. It's like shockwaves of horror. He's PTSD, but like it's all coming back. All his therapy out the window.
A single tear just starts to form in his eye.
So I think another interesting one was there was a point in time where the Indoraptor gets out, and this scene, it's almost like Mad Max, right? You got this Jeep going through like this deserty wasteland with an Indoraptor chasing it. It's damn cool, man. I'm digging this one.
Yeah, the desert scene would have been like, I wonder what they were exploring there, because like to track Blue, or I mean, I don't know if these are exactly Blue's prints, but I'm assuming they are. And it's cool it would have been cool to kind of like pick Bayona's brain, or just kind of see what they were going with this. But definitely the shots, when you scroll down, the color shots of that opening scene, again, the first 8-10 minutes of Fallen Kingdom, holy crap.
Some of the best in the franchise.
Oh, for sure. Yes. I'm so glad we got to all experience that together as well, because it is just a masterclass on tension and just setting a scene.
We freaked out, man. We were like, what the fuck was that? Like, it's incredible. We were so pumped for Fallen Kingdom.
This movie's going to be the tits.
My only thing, because like when I'm scrolling down, I love this shot, the side shot of him, jumping from the rooftop, and the side shot of the Rex. That's such a video game aspect to me. But the Mosasaurus, I'm not gonna lie, when I might have been like way too excited, but the Mosasaurus scene didn't pop to me right away to exactly what was going on. Even like when you watch it now and you see the lights go off underwater, it didn't it didn't register with me. I saw the teeth too, like just barely. The first time, I think I was just maybe excited, but I feel like
when the Mosa chomps them.
Yeah. I feel like I would have loved at least one more teensy weensy scene cut in there to allude to the fact that like, there
was the shot of there was a close-up of its eye blinking at them, wasn't there? It's in all the trailers, but it's cut for the film, and I couldn't tell you how that would have fit in there. But we know there was supposed to be more to that scene.
That was in the trailer, and it wasn't in the film. And when you see them backing up away from, after acquiring the piece or floating the piece up, you then barely see the mouth and the teeth that are just around it, and then it cuts, and then you got the above shot of the water, and there's a light, and then the light goes off. And at first I was like, what was that? But like, it would have been kind of cool to like all of a sudden, I don't know how you could have but maybe if all of a sudden it would have shown, because Homeboy inside was so nervous the whole time, right? And if it just would have like shown him like, oh god, I was right. Like if he just like would have like quickly glanced up and saw, or like if you,
was it in front of them or behind them?
Behind them. They kind of back up into it.
They back up into the mouth.
So but if you've done the classic look in the mirror, if that was the mirror.
Oh yeah. That'd be cool.
I was like thinking like if he would have like, I don't know, just like looked up and seen the inside, like all of these teeth, and then all of a sudden it cuts to the top of the water and the light goes out. You know, he's still sweating his balls off, like, and then he just looks up and he's like, he can see like the ridges of like the inside of this massive mouth with these teeth surrounding them. And he's like, what? And then boom, like, you know, like top of the shot water. I don't know.
Yeah, the like realization that would sweep across his face, like, I was fucking right.
Yeah, it's not dead. And but other than, I mean,
damn it.
still, God, those 8 minutes were phenomenal.
They were brilliant.
I'm totally going to watch this now after we get off this pod.
I know, it's so funny, we say it every time we talk about it, but it's like this insanely ridiculous scene with like a big mosasaur like jumping out and getting a helicopter. Like it's all this excessive stuff, big monsters, but it's done so well. The tension is built so perfectly that it works. Like, I think it's safe to say, after Jurassic World, I was worried, and I didn't exactly have like, it wasn't really feeling like my kind of thing. But that opening scene when we saw it, it was so Jurassic Park, and the guy in the yellow raincoat and just everything with that. And it would have been even cooler now if we got to see him like running across the rooftops and using the inside of the monorail to try and like that. That's cool, man. That would have
just
been
the
great.
fact that we all kind of like shit our pants when we turned to each other and because we heard the Dilophosaurus sound and the grass move. Like just those small subtle things, we were like, holy shit, in the movie theater. And what a cool experience. I remember
I didn't hear the Dilophosaur the first time, and as soon as we walked out, you guys were like, oh my god, did you hear that? And I was like, they didn't hear anything, that's just a load of bullshit. And then we went back the very next night, and clear as day, there it was. Like you can't deny it. That is what it is.
Yeah, well, just one of those excitement things again, like how I kind of missed it. But no, when I first, it's because I think I was almost waiting for that scene. Like I think I saw the yellow raincoat, the rain, the jungle, and it was almost like, to me, kind of like that flashback to Nedry. So
the Dilophosaurus was in your mind.
It was sort of kind of in my mind, and then and the grass moves, and you're like, ah. That's the sound I made too in the theater, just so you know. But
it was a great experience, and that really was an opening scene. This concept art's really worth checking out. Apparently they are making an art book for the Jurassic World series, so it'd be great to see a lot of what else they were planning. And as is, I find with most concept art, it's always disappointing. Like the T-Rex being hunted with this sniper and the bear shot, sorry. It's just like that concept art's so gorgeous.
And I feel like we kind of got a little, almost kind of like that. The bear shots, like, and the hunting scene is kind of like the camp, almost like the camping scene that we got in Battle at Big Rock.
Yeah,
and we can probably see a lot of this in Dominion. I wouldn't be surprised if Colin and Bayona talked about some of this stuff and was like, I don't know if it's like, let's not give them too much, but a lot of these ideas are for the third.
Yeah, it does seem like they've followed through. As you said, Battle at Big Rock, it does seem like those ideas were being discussed from the beginning. Because that was the ultimate goal, dinosaurs on the mainland, in a smart way.
Right. But I would have preferred this over E.T. Blue. Yeah,
and Vegas Pteranodons. I would have rather they went somewhere else. But the Indo Raptor chasing the Jeep, I think, is one of my favorites in this. There's something about it. Looks great. Reminds me of that Smuggler's Run game. I don't know why. I think the location. It just looks like Mad Max. It just looks like that. But yeah, check that concept art out because it's really worth seeing, and hopefully we'll get some more soon. Alex, you wanted to discuss the rides.
Yeah, you know what? Because I think it's something we don't talk about a lot, and it's a really, we all say this, but right now is just a really cool time to be a Jurassic fan. There's so much going on. We're getting a new TV show this year. We get a new film next year. Who knows? There could be games in the pipeline. There could be anything. But this is, and I think it's the first time that there are 3 rides, currently in development. And I'm counting Jurassic World, the ride at Universal Hollywood, because it did close in January for not so much a refurb, but kind of a finishing off. Because when they launched it last year, not all the elements were ready, but it needed to be open. So kind of working across from there, there's some cool looks coming out at the park, because the park's now been closed for God, I don't even know how long. So the ride probably would have opened long before now, but I think I've not personally ridden it, but I know people who have, and there's just some areas of the ride that feel are quite empty, need a bit more, that classic Jurassic ride feel, moving scene to scene.
Yeah, they just skinned it really, didn't they?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. But some of the more recent additions, there's now a gyrosphere in Predator Cove. The compies fighting over the popcorn box have returned, not in their previous location. They're now in Predator Cove as well. They've been spotted in some drone footage.
Cool.
Yeah, that's the only news we get these days: drone footage.
Yeah. I hope that drone was wearing a mask.
In the final scene, ever since it kind of opened, it's not made a lot of sense because you're rounding the final corner. Blue suddenly appears and then gets scared off by this a massive Indominus that kind of just stands there, and then the T-Rex appears, and that's kind of the end of the ride. People have been a bit confused, like kind of what's happening there. And ever since the ride opened, there have been rumours saying, "Oh, this isn't how it's supposed to be. There's going to be another Indominus animatronic there that's going to come out and fight the T-Rex."
I thought they were going to fight. I thought that was the point.
Yeah. So this is what apparently has been installed during all these months that the ride's been down. There's like a new Indominus animatronic in there that's a lot more active than what was there previously. And there's a lot of rumours saying that the one that was there has been moved earlier in the ride. There's a few photos here and there of some sort of tents and stuff at the entrance to T-Rex Kingdom. So maybe that's where it's gone. So with that'll make a total of 3 appearances of the Indominus on the ride. There'll be one as you go into T-Rex Kingdom on the left, one at the top of the ramp where it comes down straight above you, that's already in, and then this final appearance at the end of the ride where I think it's going to lunge for you maybe or something like that, and the T-Rex will just come out and like knock it out of the way or something really, really cool. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see, but I don't think it's too much longer now till the park reopens, I hope. Yeah,
and this is the LA one.
Yes, yeah. Which then brings us to Orlando, where there's a lot more going on. A whole brand new attraction, not a reskin, not rebuilding something they previously built. The so-called Velocicoaster.
Yeah, but what did they do at Orlando? That's where they had the big, the lake and the innovations.
The Discovery Center, yeah. They've built most of the roller coasters on what was the Triceratops encounter. It was just a walkthrough attraction that closed in 2005 and then briefly reopened a couple of times since, but hasn't really been open in about 15 years. So they flattened that for the bulk of the ride, but they have integrated it with the front of the Discovery Center, and it goes almost all the way over to where the Wizarding World of Harry Potter is. They've taken up a lot of room for this ride, and they're doing a big sort of redevelopment of the whole Jurassic Island, really. But sort of every day there seems to be just more and more going on with it now. So I don't think anyone didn't see it, but in the last couple of days, some Velociraptor statues were delivered. Not very conspicuously. And to be honest, I think that's fantastic marketing, really. If they wanted to cover them up and sneak them in at night, they could have, or they could have just driven them in the middle of the day. And this is for a ride that they haven't even technically announced yet. You ask any Universal employee what's going on there, they won't tell you.
But this is a roller coaster ride that loops around, and you'll be able to see it behind. Am I right in saying it's going to be behind the Discovery Center, like you can see?
In front. But yeah, it kind of depends on your point of view. It's between the Discovery Center and the lagoon. Yeah. And what's really special about this is that it features a top hat, which is just a massive incline and then a massive decline. And right before that, there's an absolutely huge launch tunnel, which I'm sure will feature some sort of Raptor animatronic or some sort of chase sequence to really maximise that. But yeah, honestly, it looks really, really cool what they're developing. It's massive. It's a lot bigger than I would have expected them to fit in. They seem to have used every ounce of space. Beginning of this week, they started putting up sort of the paddock walls, which are really, really reminiscent of the Indominus enclosure from Jurassic World. I think it's interesting.
Holy shit, man! I really want to ride it. Oh yeah, I can see the walls in the picture now. Yeah, okay, yeah.
And it's interesting to note, while this takes a lot of inspiration from Jurassic World, it feels like it does straddle both the sort of Jurassic Park, Jurassic World theme.
Yeah.
Like all the rumours say it's not going to be branded to Jurassic World. It's going to be more sort of InGen focus, so it keeps it in both sides of the franchise.
Oh, cool.
When they've talked about sort of whether or not any actors will appear in the ride. There have been some rumours this week that BD Wong will be reprising his role as Henry Wu.
Okay.
In a couple of sequences of the ride, instead of using Chris Pratt as Owen, because that wouldn't make quite as much sense. I mean, Universal might still lean towards retheming the whole island to be Jurassic World, but for the time being, it seems like maybe they're not considering that.
So Orlando's still staying as Jurassic Park?
For the time being, I mean, it still is now, and they haven't started changing anything. The raptor encounter does feel a bit more Jurassic Worldy, but I think it still remains to be seen what their plans are for the sort of the IP.
Yeah. I really haven't seen much about this coaster, but now all I want to do is ride it with you guys.
I think it'll be epic. It's supposed to open next year, or at least the rumours say it's supposed to open next year. With how fast it went up, I really don't doubt that. Yeah, it seems like as soon as the groundwork was done, they were just powering through. I even think having the park closed helped them speed it along.
Yeah. So I wonder, it looks like they're building what looks like mountainous facades, and the coaster goes inside and out, right? It's obviously going to go in tunnels or something.
Basically, you start off in a load building. You'll go into some sort of InGen facility, and there'll be some sort of spiel to it, and you board onto the coaster. It kind of goes around a corner into the first launch room, or whatever it is, and that fires you into a kind of a spaghetti bowl outside, which is the raptor paddock, where you'll be chased around all by these raptors.
Cool.
And that builds up to where these two statues that were installed. They're right before you go into this launch tunnel, this sort of subterranean launch tunnel that fires you up the top hat, which then takes you round to the front of the Discovery Centre. You do a couple of loops and then come back round to the load station. So yeah, it's a little bit inside, but mostly out. There's some pretty extensive rock work going on. I mean, I can't wait to see when they start putting in the when they start landscaping and stuff, because it looks like this is going to be a very kind of moody, dark attraction.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing, man. I'm seeing all this grey, mouldy rock and
it's really craggly and
stuff.
It looks kind of a Matterhorn vibe to it. I mean, obviously not the Disney vibe that the Matterhorn vibe, but I mean, in terms of going that weaving in and out of the mountain, that's going to be interesting to see how they do that. This thing is massive, too.
It is. It's tall, it's big, it's bulky. It's a really, really interesting ride, and it massively changes the sort of dynamic of the island, really. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Jurassic Park, the island at Islands of Adventure, had this sort of fantastic look to it for years. But I don't think there's anything wrong with this new direction they're going in. I think it's very different, but it's very interesting.
So. Okay. The raptor statues, cool. Mm-hmm. But so if there's a way that we can show this to everybody, that's cool. But in the first image that shows that aerial shot of basically the wide kind of view that shows you the scale of it with the mountains and the track, and you can see the tail of probably a raptor behind some of that construction. What is the scale of the size of it? Because that looks almost like it could be dude, that is a huge raptor, is my point.
I mean, a lot of people, when the statues were delivered, a couple of people flagged this, the sort of images of them moving across the street. They said they are very big raptors, so maybe they've been somewhat scaled up. Because you've got to think, you're on a roller coaster roaring past this thing at maybe 60 miles an hour.
Right.
If it's too small, you're not really going to see it. So maybe they've scaled them up just from a creative perspective, but maybe there is more to it than that.
Look in the lower right where you're looking basically at the containers. So think about the scale of that. And then to the top right, and you just see the tail. That raptor is the size of a T-Rex.
Yeah, it is. That's a big tail.
Yeah.
I think Alex is probably right. It's probably because you're going to be whizzing past it. They want to make sure you get it. Also, bigger looks scarier. But I don't know. If Dr. Wu's coming back for this ride, maybe this is some genetic experiment gone wrong. Or something. Maybe they're just playing with that.
Ultra Raptor, Ultrasaur Raptor.
Yeah.
Tricycler Raptors.
Maybe. But yeah, you're right. That tail is ginormous. And... Is that the same tail we see in the aerial shot?
I think so. Yeah, because it's behind the construction, and then there's a lower raptor that we don't see from that first image. But still, from the aerial shot, it looks like it could almost be normal size. So I don't know if it's a perspective thing, or
Yeah, I see
or a
what you're
photo,
saying.
but like the size of when you're looking in the lower right and then in the top left, you're like, that's a raptor.
You bred raptors?
You bred raptors. This is how you play God.
Yeah, I really want to be there on opening. Do we know when it's supposed to open, Alex?
No, because they haven't even announced that they're building a ride yet. This is something Universal do, and I think it's probably good that they do it. They wait till their rides are maybe 3/4 finished before announcing them, whereas Disney tend to announce them in advance before they've even started, and then delays come in. So
classic. Well, hopefully we can be there for it. Maybe it'll be like JP25. But there's other pictures you've sent, and there is something going on in Beijing. Am I right?
You're 100% right. Like this
You
is
are wrong.
You are wrong. This is probably one of the cooler things. So Universal is opening a new park in Beijing, and they're carrying over some elements from their US parks, but for Jurassic World, they're doing something completely new, something that's not in any of the existing parks. I mean, from the images that are coming out, and there's a lot of them, it looks really cool and really big. So it's a whole another land within the park again, themed on. They're calling it Jurassic World Isla Nublar. There'll be 2 e-ticket attractions, one of which is a dark ride that you sort of go in through the Innovation Centre, and you board a vehicle that's very similar to it's identical to what they use in the Spider-Man and Transformers rides. And at the minute, we've only seen sort of practical elements from the ride, but I'm guessing there'll be these screen sort of elements as well to sort of carry it over. But it looks really, really cool.
But they've actually built the Innovation Center from Jurassic World.
They have.
And it's big, and it looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's something they never did in the movies. I mean, they CG'd in most of the Innovation Center in both Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom. So to actually see it in images, in real life, is quite something, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the second image that shows like more of a close-up shot, and it's going to be interesting. I would love to see. I guess I could pull it up right now, but it'd be interesting to see if they were limited construction-wise to what they did CG, and if there's going to be like really any noticeable differences, or if they were able to fully replicate what they were able to do in the film.
Oh, true. Yeah, maybe. It does look great though, and I think
it does look awesome.
So they're doing that, Alex, and they've also got an aviary, right?
Yeah, so that's going to be a suspended coaster, and I honestly couldn't tell you anything else about it other than that. But it looks amazing, like the glass aviary built into the side of the mountain. It is massive, like it's a huge structure.
Mm-hmm.
Very nicely themed.
And,
I love
and you said
logo.
the aviary is part of a it's a roller coaster.
Yes, yeah, like a suspended, so you're hanging. So I'm guessing it's going to be something around the theme of flying pteranodons.
Oh,
Pteranodon flyers.
have you guys been to Disneyland or Disneyland specifically?
No.
Okay, next time we're in California and we're all together, we're doing a Disneyland trip, because anybody who's been on Soarin' over California, the ride.
That I have, yeah.
You have been on it?
I have in Disney World, yeah.
Well, wait, is it Soarin' over Florida, or is it Soarin' over California?
I think it's like soaring all over the world.
I did
that's right.
soar over British Columbia when I was there.
That's right.
Like,
I forgot.
I did, that was cool.
Yeah, I forgot Disneyland changed it to Soarin' over the world now. Anyway, that, and like when we did the Harry Potter ride at Universal, I was going to point out that like you can do so much now with limited space because of that 4D technology,
really
and augmented reality in a
look
sense.
at the King Kong ride.
Yeah.
You're just in one like room for ages, but you're on a coaster that's going forward, and it's all screen based.
I wonder if and Alex, I might have interrupted you, but like, is this like a parasailing kind of adventure?
Honestly, I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. There's a lot of images coming out, but not a lot of details.
I'd love it if I could pull a dinosaur parachute, look up and see dinosaur flapping above me. Dinosaur.
That'd be cool. Because they had do they still have the Pteranodon flyers?
Yeah, that's still open at Islands of Adventure, yeah.
So maybe it's going to be in line with that. Maybe that's the idea. But it's going to utilize the aviary from Jurassic World, and then you have all these I mean, there's a lot more they can do now with that ride.
Yeah. Maybe.
You know who's a good source for this? And shout out to Brad at Jurassic Brad
Jost.
Jurassic Park podcast. The Jurassic Park podcast with Brad Jost. He loves his rides, and I love it whenever he posts something about it, because it's usually information that I would never look to find elsewhere, but he posts about it. I'm like, oh shit, that's cool. And he's really into that stuff as well, so he's a good source of information. But it would be cool to contact Universal and be like, we would love to you could call it influence, if you will, but review these rides, share them, if you will, up to the world. Yeah, really, let the people know what Universal is all about with these rides. So
they should do that. I mean, they should invite a big group of fans and have them ride the ride for the first time. But yeah, I mean, when's the Beijing stuff supposed to open, Alex? They haven't said yet.
I think they're still saying next year.
Okay.
Because that has sprung up like this year. I cannot believe like the rocket speed that things have managed to get built, especially as the rest of the world seems to have slowed down.
Well, yeah, that's true. It is interesting that it's happening. So they don't have a Beijing park right now, Universal.
No, they have. So there's Universal Hollywood, there's Universal Orlando Resort, there was Japan and Singapore, but this is the first park in China.
Ah, okay, yeah, it was Japan and Singapore, yeah. I remember the Singapore one. Singapore one has some really nice stuff. That's got the Hammond statue, right? Or is that
it
Japan?
Does, it has a really... that's a very good question. It's either Japan or Singapore. One of those... I feel like it might be Singapore.
Yeah.
Has a really nice Hammond statue with the baby dinosaur, yeah.
Oh. Well, I want to go to the Beijing one when it opens, and I want to go to Orlando because I've never been to the Orlando park. I've only ever been to the Hollywood one with you guys, and that was my first time actually going to the Universal Park.
Yeah, same.
And that was such an experience. And actually riding the classic Jurassic Park ride like with you guys for the first time, that was something special. That was so meaningful, and that's what I hope for. Maybe when Orlando or Beijing, when the world's back open, we can all get together and do that again, because I think the stuff coming out from these parks that we've wanted for a long time. I mean, Alex, you remember like development hell for JP4. There was all this promise of new Jurassic Park rides and Universal doing this and introducing.
They put out so many different concepts. You know, they had an amber mine coaster that they almost built where Kong is in Florida. There's been so many different things. But, you know, none of it ever kind of came about. But now, you know, it's just a really good time to be a fan.
Truly.
Well, and as Josh likes to point out, and as he should always point out, Jurassic it continues to capture the attention span and its and minds and hearts of not just kids, but like our generation as well. Even with the new franchise and the money that it's been able to pull in. Jurassic's still on top, baby. Let's not forget who's the king, if you want to talk about it.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it just revenue. Is, you know, in the right hands, it is such a moneymaker. Maybe JP3 fell off a little bit, but it wasn't it didn't have quite as big a budget, I don't think.
It was an okay sacrifice to make with JP3. Yeah. Best film pretty much ever. I'm telling you guys, 2020, things are flipped around, and JP3 is now on top.
It is. There's a lot of Kirby love, and I'd love to know if anybody's ordered a Kirby Throne yet. A Jurassic Park 3 Throne, I should say.
Actually, they find one.
Throne?
It's the it's that canvas that we have. We have a partnership with them. It's like they condense every frame from the movie down into like a canvas. Yeah. But the Jurassic,
like that. It's kind of cool.
It's a really cool idea. The Jurassic Park one is the best one, I think. It's so colourful and great. But something actually, you know what I found strange the other day? I was going to order a Paul Kirby action figure for jokes, you know, just to have them on my desk to kind of play into this Kirby thing. But, you know, $40, $45 for a Kirby figure and then $50 postage or something.
Bargain!
I realized that the Paul Kirby action figure from Jurassic Park 3 is very hard to obtain. And it's very pricey. And this got me greatly upset. I thought it would be very cheap to buy a Paul Kirby action figure, but it's not. So I don't know what to say about that. I just thought it was interesting. It's just
It'd be cool if Mattel could kind of come up with like a expanded line. I mean, almost with what they do with Star Wars, but like the cult character culture isn't quite the same. But I mean, getting a Udesky figure.
Oh man,
with just. Ah man.
Oh, if we had a Udesky figure with a massive cut down his back. Revealing his spine, basically. So it's this perfect figure from the front. Udesky's got the phone, he's got what he wants. You turn him around and it's just gore.
Wow.
That'd be great.
Maybe he could like
with dino
split in
damage.
half or something, I don't know.
Yeah. And then who else? You'd have Nash.
Oh god. Dude, I could just see like if we could come up with some sort of like made for older I guess you could say adult line, but like you get an Eddie Carr figure that you can pull apart in half, like
oh lord,
just cut him in half,
or like or a Mr. Arnold with his detachable bloody arm.
Yeah, detachable limbs.
Man, that could be a cool line, like not just with Jurassic, but like just
the gore line.
The gore line.
Yeah, well, you could have
Universal contact us. We've got some ideas.
Yeah, but Nedry in the scene in the book where the Dilophosaurus rips his stomach open and all his intestines fall out.
Yes, dude.
That'd be a cool figure.
and then just I'll mail for Alex for Christmas all the compies all over.
Thank you.
What's his face?
Dieter,
thank you. Just like this, it's just this action figure covered with like 30 copies, and he's just like bloodied up and scarred up, flesh tearing off in certain areas.
So we are, it comes out on the 18th of September. We're so many days away, under a month now, away from Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. And if you didn't know anything about that show, we do have a video, everything we know about Camp Cretaceous. But check that out. But we also did a Isla Sorna video, so we put out a little informational what happened to Isla Sorna, where we run through the history of the island from the Lost World pretty much, and then through the DPG stuff.
Which was really well done by you, sir. The research and just also the quality of that film.
I appreciate that, my friend. It was a lot of fun to put together.
That short Sorna documentary. You didn't have to do any research because you are a living Sorna Wikipedia.
I have a Isla Sorna tattoo, so I think you could safely say I am obsessed with Isla Sorna. I think there was a lot of information. I mean, I have to admit, the DPG stuff and the Mizrahi Global stuff obviously looked at the time, but it's not something it refreshed my mind a lot about what had actually happened to Sorna post 2001. And while I'm not like super pumped about the island being abandoned and like them taking all the dinosaurs off and the Spino being kind of Mizrahi's deal, I don't really like all that, but it's cool that there is some form of answer to Sorna with the viral marketing.
Right.
Because it isn't something that's happened in the movies, and I really don't think people are going to get a resolution to Sorna in Dominion. I think there'll be lines about it. I think there might be dialogue, but we're not going there. I can't see it.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many different options because I mean, I'm kind of trying to think beyond Dominion, because you're either going to have, well, it's not just two scenarios, I suppose, but I feel like how can you contain what's happening and what they're alluding to in Dominion? Like, I don't see a way how they could just round up all the dinosaurs throughout the world and get them safely somewhere else. But I think that's maybe the idea, or could be the idea. So that's why I feel like Sorna could be a play in like, well, where else could we take them? But yeah, you're right. I'd be surprised. It might be just too much of a push to have Sorna again. And like the other thing too is the other islands. It's such a predominant thing, especially in like the evolution game. Sorna being the largest, so that kind of makes sense. But could the island chain be come back into play at all. Maybe, but where else do you take them? In Fallen Kingdom, they talked about an island that we were going to take them to, and it was like, we've talked about this sometimes. It was like, well, just why not Sorna? Like, what's this island bullshit? Like, you've got Sorna.
Yeah, Sorna doesn't have a volcano, that we know of. I'm sure they could add one if they needed to, but yeah, and the whole island chain, we don't know if InGen owned all those islands, but we can safely assume they probably did, or probably do, or I think at that point you can just leave it open. There's potential that during the 90s they'd been doing stuff on other islands too, or maybe they just used it for this or that. But Sorna still exists. It didn't get wiped out. It's not being used for anything else. They own it. Mm-hmm. I almost think it's kind of dumb of Claire to have heard Eli Mills and Lockwood saying, we're going to take him to a sanctuary. Why didn't she was on Nublar. She knew about Sorna. She was part of the company that owned Sorna. Why didn't she just think, well, why don't we just take him to Sorna? Like, she didn't even say anything.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting how Claire, being in her position, doesn't kind of come at things almost like from a fan perspective. Or, I mean, there's obviously so much that Claire doesn't know because we see things in a film perspective throughout since 1993. She only knows, from 2012, 13 plus. So, but at the same time, yeah, like maybe, who knows? Maybe like Sorna, once Masrani brought her on board, like maybe Sorna was something that was just like hardly ever talked about. So like for her to think about it right away, like wouldn't come so naturally like it does for us. But at the same time, the way he talked about it, Mills, like before Sorna, like it's like, okay, well obviously Sorna is a big deal because everybody should know about. Well, I mean, how wouldn't she know about Sorna, especially with like the San Diego incident and everything else? So like,
yeah, and according to the Book of Claire, the evolution of, is it called the evolution of Claire?
Yes, I think so. I didn't read it.
No, I didn't either. But I believe that she was part of the. She was there when they brought a raptor from Sorna to Nublar.
Right. Okay, so, that's right.
Yeah, she knows about Sorna, but that's what I found. It's kind of lazy writing in a sense. Like, okay, we're going to take him to a sanctuary. It's like, why not just take him to Isla Sorna though? Why didn't she say anything about that? And why didn't she question like, well, what is this sanctuary? Where is it? Where does it come from? Like, what part of the world is it in?
Yeah, exactly.
It's to say
strange.
She'd spent the last 4 years, becoming the opposite. She went from ruthless, whatever she was at Jurassic World, head of. What was she? What was her role?
Marketing.
Head of
Hello,
the park.
I'm Claire Deering. I am Parkhead.
I'm Parkhead. Oh God! But then she went from that to we need to save all of them because imagine a world where kids won't have dinosaurs.
I know.
Oh yeah, what, like the world? Yeah, okay, yeah. Sorry, that. Yeah.
Park operations manager.
Thank you, Ryan. Park operations manager.
Thanks, Jurassic Wiki.
Yeah, she but that whole scene is strange in the DPG thing because it's the first time we see her really, and she's a completely different character, and she's still insanely gullible, it seems, when it comes to the Lockwood stuff. She's just taking it at face value. Yep, cool. Oh, a sanctuary, yes. Wonderful. She doesn't question, Masrani liked Hammond. They got on, and he continued his legacy. Fair enough. She doesn't then question, like, oh, your Lockwood is like Hammond's ex-partner. She doesn't question why weren't you partners anymore? When did you stop? She doesn't think, well, that could be for a bad reason. She just trusts them. And I guess at that point, the whole point is she'd gotten to a point where the only form of survival was going to be if she goes in herself to organize it, because the government have just said no.
Yeah, I think, and I totally agree with you. I think we see that. It's almost interesting that I think, and to give, honestly, like a huge benefit to Claire, I think we see her realize that aspect about her character once she's on the beach soaking wet, screaming about, they lied to us, Yeah. I think
it was all a lie.
It was all a lie. And I think that's because when we see Claire at the beginning of Fallen Kingdom, I think she's still in a lot of ways the same Claire that that naive kind of ness that she has about her.
Welcome to Jurassic World.
From the first, and I think that in many ways, or in some ways, might be the reason why Owen and her aren't, clicking like they should be a few years later. So I think for that kind of like, she still has that is euphemism the right word? All the right intentions, but just kind of like not thinking it through quite clearly, especially when it comes to the Lockwood stuff, because she's so desperate to save them and get the legislation passed, and this is like basically like her only, like her last hope. So to have it fall apart, it's like, damn it, fool me once, fool me twice on a beach soaking wet, and damn it. So and then after that is when we see kind of badass Claire, like okay, like fuck this, like I'm gonna drive this Jeep over into a ship. Fast and Furious.
Yeah. She was determined to get off that island and continue trying to save these dinosaurs. Although somebody pointed out a really interesting thing the other day. At the end where Maisie presses the button.
I do.
And lets all the dinosaurs out because they're like me. They're alive,
like me.
Somebody pointed out that the reason they let all the dinosaurs out of their enclosures into one main room because the gas was coming in, and then somebody said, why didn't they just open the big doors before they opened all the individual dinosaur enclosures and vent the gas out that way?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. People that say Fallen Kingdom is as good as Jurassic Park, I struggle with that. But
hey, sometimes you're caught up in the excitement,
yes,
things happen, and then you realize after the fact, like, shit,
I could have just
got
the gas out and left
is
the
there
dinosaurs nice and
is
safe.
there an honest trailer about Fallen Kingdom that I haven't seen yet?
I wonder. There's a pitch meeting, and that is glorious. Have you seen those Scream Rant pitch meetings? Oh man, you gotta check those out. Check the Jurassic World one out, and then this one. It just rips them apart. But it does that with every movie. So don't get me wrong. It's not like just hating on. They do it with everything.
Yeah.
But it's so some stuff you're just like, oh yeah. In fact, actually, I think it was that video that pointed out that you could just vent the gas out the other way, do it in a different order. But they're alive, like me.
Alive, like me.
They really wanted to emphasize that point through the movie. I mean, I think it was Alex that told us there was scenes they added in. They reshot that scene right in the corridor with the InGen soldier,
right?
So that Mills is there and can say, like, don't you know what she is? She's a human clone. Yeah, cool scene, but they really wanted to emphasize that she's a clone like me. They're clones. They're alive. I'm a clone, and I'm a girl and a human and a clone.
Like I legit though do like that aspect of the story, and I am excited to see how Maisie's going to play a part because of that role, or if like she'll just be looked at as like. I wonder if there will be a question of like if Maisie is just like, oh, you're just you're a human like the rest of us, or if there's going to be like this, oh, you're a freak because you're you're a clone.
She's just getting bullied.
Exactly. I don't know why people would know that necessarily. Like it would just be world news, but
maybe there's a smell to it.
Oh God.
Maybe she smells.
Why does this girl smell like lysine?
Yeah, like lysine.
Why do you know what lysine smells like? Like,
yeah, you other 10-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. Ew, you smell like lysine.
Ew, lysine. That's the opening scene. It's her getting bullied in school.
Lysine girl. Oh, And on that note,
I take that. No, I wonder how she's going to be into it. I mean, we'll go into the next episode. We will be talking about the leaked Jurassic World synopsis. The Dominion synopsis.
Yeah,
that is out there. I mean, if you really wanted to know the synopsis out there, it's a plot. It's not the whole movie. It's a log line. It tells you the very basic elements of the story. But we'll be discussing that on the next podcast with
very special guest.
Really pathetic drum roll there.
Well, I could hear it. It's good. I'm gonna keep doing it until you say who it is.
Oh, I was doing it for you, man. I was gonna let you say it.
Okay, and Murderinos might know him well. His name is Stephen Ray Morris. Huge Jurassic Park fan as well. You may know him from Jurassic Right, the Purrcast.
My favorite murder.
My favorite murder. What's that? That's a podcast. I think it's out there. You've also probably seen him most notably wandering the streets of Universal Studios daily. Great guy. We love Stephen.
Yeah, I love Stephen Ray Morris.
We're excited.
I think I met him for the first time at the JP25 event when he was dressed as Ellie.
Yeah, that was the first time. Yeah, we had. It's so funny because like when we saw him, we were just texting him like, "Where are you?" Like,
yeah,
like so many other JP people there, but like we had never met, but just through online interactions and so many before that, it was just like meeting up with a friend and like hi when we saw him, and for the rest of the day, it was just fun to hang out. Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, he came back to the Airbnb with us, and we had drinks, and we
drank a little scotch.
Yep, and we did some stuff that we can't talk about.
Made some pasta. And, checked out some stuff. I fell asleep. Got mad.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, we were. that was a serious lack of sleep that weekend, but we had things to make up for it.
Yeah,
I think it was a great weekend.
But yeah, we'll have Stephen on soon. We'll talk about all that fun stuff. That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, that'd be great to speak to. We've had him on the podcast a couple of times before, I think.
Yeah.
But this will be a good conversation, and we'll be talking all things spoilers and leaks, Jurassic World, Dominion. There are a few out there. There's some things that we don't touch on JurassicOutpost.com just because of the legalities of it. But the podcast is fair game, man. We can talk about what we want. We can swear if we want. We can say words like crap and damn,
bingo,
and things like that, and other swear words like
boo
and stuff. Boo. So yeah, that'll be fun. I think I'm excited to discuss that plot line.
Yeah,
and sort of theorize where the rest of the movie is going to go.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I think a lot of people have got some ideas, so tune in. We'll have that one out soon.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see. While I have to admit the Maisie plot line for me, it's such a big jump. It's the same kind of jump as from JP3 to Jurassic World in terms of the Velociraptors and how smart they become. The evolution of raptors in Jurassic Park and then Lost World and then JP3, it really makes sense, and it's slow. And the JP3 raptors, wow, they can actually communicate vocally. Mm-hmm. And then in Jurassic World, it's fair enough. It's a big jump of time, but it's also a huge jump in what they can achieve. And they're now these trained animals that seem to respect Owen. And that's fair enough. Some people like that. I found it a bit in your face, and I don't know, it just didn't sit well with me initially. It's not my favorite thing about it. I think it just because it takes away how scary the raptors are supposed to be. But
sure,
in Fallen Kingdom, they then introduced a human clone, and it has come from nowhere. They haven't been leading to this point. I think obviously, they've been hybridizing dinosaurs and mixing gene splicing and stuff, but they didn't exactly go into too much science of that in the movies. And all of a sudden you then have a human clone. People say it's very Michael Crichton. It's like, sure, but is it the right tone? Does it play well? It could be a very Michael Crichton idea, but Michael Crichton's a very unique writer in the way he writes his stories, and he's able to create a world that makes it feel normal for that kind of thing to happen. Whereas Fallen Kingdom for me didn't do that. So I struggled with she's a clone. Especially because they give you no context for it either. They don't tell you how, why, when. she's there and she's been a human, and then all of a sudden she's actually a cloned human. So I hope there's a lot more about it. If they really go down the route in Dominion, I hope they are able to explain it a bit more thoroughly and almost give it more of a reality. Like, because why, you know?
I think
because love.
I think there he is.
Yes. I mean, but if you're talking about like the possibilities of it, I think it's just argued that it's much harder because the DNA fossilized and all that, blah blah blah. Like, it's so much harder to clone a dinosaur. So if you can clone a dinosaur at this stage and fill in the gaps, but be able to like fully have a complete DNA sequence genome for a human being, like, why couldn't you?
Wouldn't it have been really funny if they tried to clone Maisie, and yet again, there's these sequence gaps, we've got to film with something, we'll just do a frog again, and then they raise her, and it's like, oh, she changed gender, she's a boy now.
Yeah, that would be interesting if the movie takes a political stance on gender and things like that. But no, so okay, fair enough. So Dolly the sheep, right? She was the first animal that was cloned, right? And that was in the 90s. That was 96. So they successfully cloned a mammal.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, she didn't last very long. I don't know if I'd call that an epic success.
She apparently lasted. I'm looking here at the Wikipedia page for Dolly (sheep). 5th of July 96 to 14th of Feb 2003. So man, she survived 2 Jurassic Park movies.
6.5 years. Yeah, that's pretty good.
She was 6, when she died. But she was a clone, man, and that was in the 90s, 96. Now, obviously, without going too, government conspiracy with it, I mean, what else have they been doing? Like, human cloning is I mean, if they can clone a sheep in 96 successfully, I wouldn't put it past the reality of that they actually can just clone humans now. Yeah. Again, this isn't a conspiracy podcast. I just think it makes sense, right?
Well, especially in the Jurassic World. So, I mean, being able to do it secretly, like, hey, Woo, need you to boop boop. And, okay.
Woo, get over here.
Hey. So, I'm sure Woo was the person behind it, or signed off on it, or was the only one to. And I don't know like how you necessarily like grow, whether it's in a womb, whether it's just like a in vitro or in vitro type pregnancy. But I think the possibilities of it are just much easier in the Jurassic World. I mean, it's like if you pretty much mastered to a degree of cloning an extinct and brought it back to life, you have everything you need in front of you for a human. So bing, bang, bong.
So why not? Yeah. I just with the Maisie one, obviously, like, his daughter died and stuff, but like that doesn't explain why she's, how old is she? 8, 9, 10, 11?
It's really confusing. Like, I saw a prop still recently from Fallen Kingdom of a I don't know what to call it, like an invitation to original Maisie's funeral, and it was a lot more recent than it made any sense. Like, it would have been after Hammond died, so I really don't get when any of this happened.
Yeah, which again, hope they answer, because it is one of the. It's beginning to feel like a plot line. She's a clone, and then in Dominion they won't go into it at all because they've got so much else to do. I'm just like, well, why was she a clone then? She could have just been a girl.
I'd be surprised, because I think that this might just like throw a whole other like spin mix into it might just get a little too campy. But again, like I just argued, why wouldn't they be able to fully 100% clone a human? But part of me wants to maybe leave the door open for a 1% chance of her having some sort of prehistoric DNA or something within her that's not exactly normal, because. And the only reason why I say that is when she sneaks up on Auntie or Mom or who, or I'm
Iris.
Iris, thank you. There's this. No, don't thank you. Alex is the best for all of the knowledge stuff, so I'm glad we have him on. When she jumps out, there's like this, you sound effect kind of in the background of like a roar when she does her little roar and scares her. It's not just like there's like almost like a muffled lion roar that they do sound editing wise that's behind it. And it almost, I just thought they were just kind of doing like the whole play on she's being sneaky, but like she's also being very, very sneaky, like almost animal-like, almost predator-like. Like the camera, the whole way Bayona shoots that as we're introduced to her is this almost like, is there a dinosaur stalking her? Oh no, it's Maisie. But, but
yeah,
like,
no, you're right. Actually, it does play into that.
But does Maisie have a little, something? So like,
I think the shot later in the film, the when she's in the exhibit case with Owen and Claire, and you get the reflection of the Indoraptor's jaws over her face, and they blend into some sort of horrible, I don't even know what to call that. I mean, I think there's a lot to be said about that. What Bayona was trying to do with that shot. What it represents, yeah. I mean, not only is she now on the other side of the glass, she's become the exhibit, but just this meshing of her with this thing. It's something to this day.
I know why that girl is homeschooled. Why? She's part raptor.
Maybe they're going to go full John Sayles with it. Maybe, that concept art, that reptilian humanoid raptor thing. Maybe in this movie she's head to toe prosthetics because her body's changing. It's morphing into this raptor-like form. As she grows, she gets more like vicious animal teeth. She gets a protruding jaw. She loses all of her hair.
Oh no. She can. I'll bet it'll just be more like you didn't know I could talk to Blue, and we'll be like, what?
Oh man.
What's that, Blue? Owen and Claire are in danger? What?
They're in the well. Okay. Oh God.
I think. Do you know? I can't remember what when we first sort of found out about Maisie in Fallen Kingdom. She had a different name that linked to. Chris did like a really cool intro on this. She was named after some missing link. Am I right or?
The name of the. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so part of me wonders if that is what Maisie is going to become, because we know for whatever reason she has some sort of intrinsic value in Dominion, because if she's going to get kidnapped, quote unquote. So maybe she's the missing link to kind of unlocking this technology.
Oh, Lucy.
That's the one. There we go.
Oh yeah,
that was the original name. That was the name they had on the casting sheets, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I'm just wondering if that's like a deep thread. Yeah.
That would have been interesting. Yeah, Lucy.
We actually did a podcast. Whoa, episode 44 was called Lucy. We're on 87 now.
87.
And that's after a long hiatus.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, man.
The Outpost holiday package is fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, guys. Well, I think we've discussed a lot of interesting stuff in this. I think the key now is for us to get access to the new parks. I want to go to Orlando. I want to report on that. I want to ride the ride with you guys and a bunch of other people. I want to go to Beijing. I'd love to go to Beijing and check out the new park when it's open. So, Alex, you got to keep us updated on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to bring a hat for each ride to lose.
Just buy one there. Lose it on the ride and then say, hey, I lost it on the ride.
Hey, man, you just lost your brand new hat. I saw you buy that in the shop. You just lost. I'm like, yeah, I did. It was awesome. Thanks. Just walk away.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me on this podcast, guys. It's been really nice to speak to you.
Pleasure as always.
Yep.
And I think check out the Jurassic Outpost wiki. It's something that Alex has been working on.
Are we talking about this now?
we can talk about it a tiny bit. Check it out. Go there, and we will be doing an episode on that in the near future, because there's a lot that Alex has been doing behind the scenes. JurassicOutpost.com/store, as always, for Kirby merch, retro merch, and mask merch of masks. Put on masks. Wear a mask, and Frome 10% discount. Links in the description. Jurassic Outpost is the discount code. Any final thoughts, guys?
No, that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, that's good.
Maisie is a human clone, and she smells of lysine. So,
Lysine girl. Don't bully. Don't bully people.
No, bullying's mean.
Bullying is mean. Lysine girl.
You stink, lysine girl. Get out of school.
God, we're terrible.
Yeah. We'll end on that. Alex, bully her for a minute. Go on. Call her lysine girl.
Oh, lysine girl.
Got you good, Maisie. See you tomorrow at school.
How long till we put that on a t-shirt?
Yeah, lysine girl.
Oh, God.
All right, I'm killing my recording.
Okay, bye.